Hello, spooky crew. Our tote bag drawing is officially closed, and we just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who entered. We are so grateful for the love and the support, and we have loved reading your reviews. Missed the tote? No worries. We're still sending out high-quality vinyl stickers while supplies last. Just email us proof of your rating and review along with your mailing address to thespookydarlings@gmail.com, and we'll get one headed your way. Quick promise, your address is only for mailing the sticker. No emails, no selling info, no funny business, just spooky gratitude. Thanks again for supporting the show. You are the reason we do this.
Hello, you are listening to The Spooky Darlings. I'm Emily.
I'm Haley.
And I'm Nettie.
It's spooky season, and what better way to celebrate than with some of the eeriest tales of all? We will share a chilling collection of stories from the mouths of babes, the whispers, the shadows, the things they see and say that make our hair stand on end. We scoured the creepiest corners of the internet for stories that claim to be true. So light your candle and settle in. The stories are about to begin.
Before we jump in, we've got something fun for you. We're running a little promo to say thank you for supporting the show. If you leave us a written review, we will mail you a free Spooky Darling sticker for your water bottle, laptop, cell phone case, anywhere you want to put it. All you have to do is write us a review on whatever platform you listen on, then email us a screenshot of your review, plus your mailing address to thespookydarlings@gmail.com. In addition, anyone who claims their sticker prize will also be entered into a drawing for a free Spooky Darlings canvas tote bag. It's our way of sending you a little spooky love.
We're going to start with Haley sharing some stories from Reddit. Go ahead, Haley.
All right, these are from the subreddit Ask Reddit, and Lanky Armadillo 2979 says, "We had just moved in from an old farmhouse when one night my 3-year-old at the time pointed at the glass door and asked why the other mummy was there. I looked and couldn't see anything and asked what she looked like. My 3-year-old proceeded to explain that the other mummy was dirty and muddy and had blue lips and blonde hair. I kind of froze because we were home alone together. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And he says, yes, she lives under the ground.
Oh my gosh.
She said she had a good boy like me once. It made my stomach drop, and I took him to my room and locked the door. Ha ha.
I had a good boy like you once.
That's creepy.
Super creepy. All right, and now we have Raven Chef. My niece was talking to her imaginary friends in the back of the car. She said it was a boy and girl about her age and they were brother and sister. Then, as we came near the end of a road, she said, this is their home. Can we drop them off here? Myself and my sister were laughing about it until we reached the end of the road and it was a cemetery. She gave a little wave and said goodbye as we passed.
That is so creepy.
Doesn't that give you goosebumps? It totally gave me goosebumps when I read
gosh. This is regular message 9591. When my niece was about 3, she told her mum that she liked her much better than the other mummy because other mummy was mean, and one day she held my head under the water for too long.
Oh no.
Same niece, aged around 6, told me that her creepily named dolls were made of blood and bones and mud. But watch out, don't let them touch you because they'll turn you into a doll. I turn away from the dolls and she says to something behind me, no, Ethel, I told you not to touch her. She's the best.
It's a niece that has that person's back.
Uh-huh. Oh my goodness.
All right, so Emily, I think you're going to go next.
Okay, yeah. I'll take the next one. This is Writing for Biden. We were at a family gathering and my then 4-year-old daughter did not want to leave. She kept repeating, but it's the last time we will all be together. As we had to literally football carry her out while wrangling our other kids.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
We were at a beloved aunt's home who suddenly passed 2 weeks later. It was indeed the last time we were all together. What I wouldn't give to have listened to my daughter in that moment and stayed longer at my aunt's house.
Oh my goodness.
Those kids, sometimes they know.
Okay, now OP64 said, my brother's friend was a teacher in a very rural Australian school, and her class were all Indigenous kids, Aboriginal. When the lunch bell rang, the kids would fight to go play on the oval. One day the lunch bell went off and the kids just sat there. She asked, "Aren't you going out on the oval to play?" One of the kids replied, "No, miss, the tall men are there." She looked and didn't see anything and said so. One of the other kids said, "She can't see them. She's a white fella." And they wouldn't go outside.
Oh my gosh.
And another person replied, "Ooh, I'm Aussie and my indigenous friends have spoken of something similar, but they call him, and my spelling may be off here, the Gunjadi man."
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
We're gonna have to remember that for when we start doing our
Our
International.
our international cryptid episodes. Is maybe the
yeah.
Gunjadi man's an Aboriginal cryptid.
Gave
Yeah.
me goosebumps.
That is so creepy. I love that.
Okay,
She can't
now-
see them. She's a white fella. That's so funny.
Now, Luscious Lashes said, "Mommy, can we sleep with the TV on? I don't want the big people to watch us sleep again." The night before, I had a terrible nightmare that aliens were watching us sleep. It was almost like an out-of-body experience because I could see us in bed, and my bedroom was exactly how I left it that night. At first, I didn't think anything of it until she said that, and then I realized maybe it wasn't a dream. She was only 2 at the time.
That is so creepy. That's two people experiencing the same thing,
Oh my gosh.
like at the same time in the same
Yeah,
house.
it's kind of freaky.
Yeah. It just kind of, those are that are like, it's just kids' imaginations. Because so many of the comments on a lot of these stories are like, listen, kids have big imaginations. It's their imagination, but
Yeah.
how can the mom imagine the same thing as the daughter the same night?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of freaky. Similar Dream 9731 said, well, apparently quoting her child, she said, "Will the man in the attic come with us when we move?" That's kind of freaky.
No.
I hope not. That's why we're moving.
Okay. Girasol IYVR said, "When my daughter was 3, she came home from preschool one day and her demeanor changed the minute we came home. She became very withdrawn and looked very upset. I asked her what was wrong and she said, 'The angel on the roof is angry with us.'"
Oh, what did
don't
they
like that.
do?
I don't know. All right, Nettie, your turn.
All right. This is a former Reddit user said, "My 4-year-old said he was going to keep my bones. My 6-year-old said she could make me into a wind chime."
My gosh, that just reminds me when Zane was 5 and he would just say like some pretty morbid things. I think I've said this before
We
on
have
the podcast.
twice. We've talked about it twice on the
Yeah.
podcast, but I love it.
Chop your arms off. Put your arms on my arms. Anyway.
It's so cute. Okay, this is It's Fish 20. My 2-year-old never stops talking and has said some really weird and freaky things lately. The creepiest one was when we were putting her to bed and she said goodnight to the closet man. And when we asked her who she meant, she told us it was the little man that lived in the small access hatch she has in the back of her closet. Scary thing is, she has never seen that hatch open, and I'm pretty sure she has never seen it before because there has been a big storage tote in front of it since before she was born. You bet I checked the hatch the next morning when she was downstairs and found nothing but dust and spider webs in there, so that made me a bit happier. So we know it's not a Frogger.
We know it's not a Frogger. Oh my gosh, that's so creepy.
It is so scary. The little man, the little closet man. Okay, this is Bluegrass Mommy. My youngest daughter has always had a fear of the water that's gotten better as she's gotten older. But when she was a toddler, it would have been easier to baptize a rabid cat than to try to give her a bath. One night at around age 3, I was doing my routine of trying to get her in the tub to wash off when she said to me, "I'm scared of the water. It's how I died before."
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, the bath definitely didn't happen that night. Oh my gosh, that actually just makes me think that maybe so many of these like traumas that kids have are actually from, if you believe in past lives,
Like
which
fears.
I do, are like from past lives. That's how I died before. Or the one that I think you read that was like, I like you better than my other mummy. She held my head under the water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For too long. Yeah.
That it. All right.
Crazy.
This is Plus Cardiologist 497. My then 2-year-old accidentally locked himself in a room and was crying hysterically while I tried in vain to coach him through unlocking the door. My then 5-year-old pulled me aside and said in perfect seriousness, I'm sorry. Forget about him, Mom. He's dead to us. I'm a little worried about that kid. All right. One more. I'll just read this last one. Oh wait, it kind of goes long. But Haley, why don't you actually read it?
This is a Reddit user who has deleted their account. Me, your shoes are in your room. 3-year-old son, but I cannot go in there. Me, why not? Son, the ghosts. Me, what ghosts? Son, the boy and girl. Me, what are they doing in there? Son, saying, come here. Me, okay, so you know not to go to them, right? Son, yeah. Oh, okay. This is ECE Professionals.
So this is now a new Reddit thread.
Okay.
So everything that we said before was
A new Reddit thread that I think ECE is
Oh, okay.
early childhood education professionals.
All right. So this one says feedback wanted. So listeners, if you want to email us with your feedback, it's thespookydarlings@gmail.com. And so it goes on to say, I'm wondering if there have been particularly creepy things kids have said to you, or if it's just me. This one happened years ago, but it still haunts me. I had been dating my boyfriend, now husband, for a few months when one day on my lunch break, he called me and said he was going to buy me a ring. I was shocked and surprised. I came back from my lunch break and obviously it was still on my mind, but I didn't tell any coworkers or anything. As I was lining the kids up to go inside from the playground, one of the little girls, age 3, I'll call her Emily, kept staring at me. Then she started saying, ring, 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 and chanting it. I said, Emily, what are you talking about? She said, I'm talking about the ring, the one your boyfriend is going to buy for you. I said, what? Who told you that? She said, no one. I just heard it in your imagination.
oh my goodness. I do not want to think that kids can read my mind.
There's
I just do not want to think that.
There's another story that is legit horror movie about a different child, but I can't post that because I can't figure out how to do the trigger warning hidden text. Anybody else have stories?
I really want to know what her other story is.
I know, me too.
And then I think this was a response to her post. When I worked in our 3-year-old's room, I had a girl who would randomly go tense and rigid. Whenever someone would ask her what was wrong, she would always reply with, that boy in the corner is staring at me. She always pointed to the same corner, and there was never anyone over there. This happened several times, and when we tried to talk to her parents, they always brushed it off as her having a vivid imagination. When we moved classrooms to a bigger space in January, she never mentioned the boy in the corner again. It creeped me right out.
So it was in the classroom. Mm-hmm. This was like in his, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
In the same corner every time of one specific classroom.
Uh-huh.
All right, Emily.
Okay, this is from the Reddit thread Daddit. And the question was, what creepy paranormal things have your kids said to you? The other day, my 3-year-old son was sitting at the dining room table at dinner, blinking his eyes really fast. I asked what he was doing, and he responded, totally straight-faced and unbothered, I'm looking at the man who walked into the kitchen. When I blink my eyes like this, I can see him standing behind Mommy.
What?
What?
You can see him standing behind Mommy? What's he look like? What's he doing? I asked. He's all black and has no face. He's just standing there watching Mommy. Sometimes I see him walking around the house, but he never looks at me.
Huh.
We live in a very old house. We know that the original owner, the man who built the house, died there in the 50s. We've always talked about a ghost in the house, but weren't totally serious. My son's comment made the hair stand up on my neck. I've heard others talk about stories where their young kids saw things that creeped them out. What have your youngins said that have made your hair stand on end?
Oh, wow.
Just looking at the man standing behind Mommy. I can only see him when I blink like this. I'd be like, oh.
Stop blinking like that.
So another Reddit user responded, not my kid, but my niece. Disclaimer that I'm an ardent skeptic that believes essentially nothing metaphysical, but I have nothing for this one. She was almost 5 and living with my sister in an apartment complex. Not long after they moved in, along with alleged weird noises and shit like TVs allegedly turning on and off on their own, my niece began going into my sister's room at night, terrified because of the man in her room. First time it happened, my sister freaked out thinking someone was in the house, but then it became a regular thing. When asked more about it, my niece said the man would swear at her and tell her she needed to get out because she didn't belong there.
Oh.
Then my sister met a neighbor at the complex playground and found out that the person who lived there a year or so before her was a single dad who overdosed in the apartment.
Oh.
His young son, whose room was the next room over, now my niece's, found him. The whole thing.
Oh.
So my mom, who believes in all this, had my sister dig around and try to find his name, which they did, and they tracked down his obituary. So we're at my mom's house, and they left this picture up on the computer screen and called my niece into the room. Without saying a word, not about their place or the man or anything, not a word, my niece immediately recognized the man's face and ran out screaming about the man in her room. We moved them out not long after because it just kept happening and they didn't know what to do. Like I said, I am an extreme skeptic of anything of that nature, but with the totality of the story and how absolutely certain my niece was that it was the man in her room on the screen, I have no way to explain it.
Wow.
Yikes. Ugh.
Nadine, this next one is a little bit long. Do you want to start right there?
Sure. So this is still on the Daddit
I'm Daddit.
Reddit. The user is 5meterhammer468. When my son was around 4, his mom and I bought an old ranch home on 800 plus acres. The house was about 90 years old, but the foundation had been there like 160. Okay, so the foundation, it sounds like the foundation was like 160 years old, but the house was 90 years old. So that's old for the US, if this is in the US. After being there about 6 months, my son started talking about the brown man. Said he'd seen him outside his window all the time. Occasionally we'd go in his room and he'd be staring out the window, smiling, giggling. He'd say it was the brown man, making him laugh. His mom and I grew concerned, especially me, as I do believe in the paranormal. Started asking questions. I asked my son if the brown man ever came inside the house. He said, "He's not allowed because it's our house now." After about a year, my son stopped talking about him and seeing him. Asked him what happened to the brown man. Son said, "He went back to the woods to sleep." I can only assume it was a former homeowner that was buried somewhere on the property and he just came to check out the new family and made sure we were worthy of his house. To add, my son is 14 now and fully remembers the brown man. We've talked about it several times. He says there 100% was a man dressed in brown at our house, at our old house that he used to interact with. He remembers never being scared, even a little, and the man would make funny faces that made him laugh, and he seemed really nice. 800 plus acres that backed up to a state park. There wasn't a neighbor within a couple miles. I suppose there could have been a man squatting, camping on my property, but I spent dumb amounts of time on that land in those woods. I think I would have noticed some sign of someone being there, but who knows?
Whoa.
And then Cool Cheetah 658 said, our son would talk about our paranormal resident named Bobby. He'd follow Bobby and point at him and talk to him. After he hit about 4, he stopped seeing him. Our daughter, who is our youngest, not knowing this story, also began seeing Bobby as well, doing similar things like pointing and following and talking.
Oh my goodness.
From what we've gathered, if there is a ghost named Bobby here, he's kept a watchful, caring eye on our kiddos. They were always happy and excited about him, never scared, so we figured if Bobby does exist, then they are caring and friendly. We like to think it's my wife's late Uncle Bobby checking in on us. He was killed in a motorcycle accident. He was always a caring, cheerful, and kind person, and a bit of a goofball. He loved his grandkids and his grandnieces and nephews. If he became a ghost, he would totally watch over them and love them, and mess with us, LOL. Do you want me to just read this last one, because it's the last one in this thread,
Sure.
And then you can take over the next one?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Competitive Isopod 74 commented, my husband died. Our son was 3 at the time. A few months after losing him, my son went to run off to get something and stopped after 2 steps, ran back, grabbed my shirt to pull my face down and whispered in my ear, "Daddy says you're very beautiful."
Oh.
Oh. All right, Haley, you take over now while I...
That one was so
Oh,
sweet.
so sweet.
So this is from ranker.com called People Reveal the Most Unnerving Things Kids Have Ever Said to Them. From a former Redditor, I used to stay with my sister all the time when I was 15 or 16. Her house was quite creepy and there was a strange energy there. It just didn't feel right. One night I stayed there, I could hear a child laughing and laughing. I thought it might have been my nephew, who was 3 at the time. So I looked out my bedroom door and saw my sister looking out into the hallway. She heard the laughing too. It wasn't my nephew, as he was asleep in bed with her. I ended up getting into my sister's bed with her and my nephew, and I was quite freaked out. About 10 minutes later, my nephew woke up, sat up, and said, Mummy, what's crawling up on the bed?
What?
Something black.
What?
Now she's sitting on you, watching you.
Oh no.
My sister and I were so creeped out. I still get shivers when I think of that.
That is so scary.
Oh my gosh.
That's totally freaky.
It kind of reminds me of like the weird experience I had of like feeling something crawl on my, like when I'm in that halfway state of like sleeping and waking, feeling something crawl on my bed and like lay on top of me.
I don't like it.
Super weird. Okay, this is from Redditor Quagmire DP. While I was changing my daughter in front of the open closet door, she kept looking around me and laughing. I asked her what was so funny. She said, "The man," to which I replied, "What man?" She then pointed at the closet door and said, "The man with the snake neck."
Oh, what?
Oh,
No.
I turned around and nothing was there. I'm afraid to look into the history of my house to see if anyone hung themselves in the closet. At least she wasn't scared. Oh my goodness.
I thought maybe Voldemort used to live there.
Oh,
Didn't he have a snake neck?
no.
I thought he had a snake face.
I thought he had both.
Voldemort's neck seemed normal to me.
Well,
This is why we are not doing a Harry Potter podcast. Our facts are wrong
We're not doing a Harry Potter podcast.
yet.
okay, we keep going.
All right. From Redditor Space Delivered. My high school girlfriend has a little brother who was like 3 to 4 at the time. One day we were babysitting him and playing with cars on the floor. Out of nowhere, he started looking really concerned and looking around. We kept playing, but he stood up and walked straight into the garage. We followed him in there, and he just kept looking toward the wall and started crying. My girlfriend kept asking him what's wrong, and through all of his weeping, he got out, "He says I am his." Still freaks me out just thinking about it.
No, I don't like that.
This is also from a former Redditor. My family and I were staying with my aunt one summer, and I was sleeping in the basement with my sister and her 2 toddlers. My sister, mom, and aunt all went to a casino one night, so I was watching my sister's kids down in the basement. My niece was sleeping, my nephew was playing with his trucks, and I was sitting in a recliner watching some dumb movie. My nephew walked over to me and said, "Uncle Bud says to get out of his chair now. He's mad." My Uncle Bud had passed over 10 years before. I'm hoping he just overheard my aunt say something about the chair and decided to repeat it to me, but I'll never sit in that chair again.
Oh my gosh. Uncle Bud.
Uncle Bud.
That would freak you out.
That's really funny.
Okay, is that me now?
Uh-huh.
Sure.
Okay, from Redditor Amazing Casey. I was a counselor at a drama camp last year, and one day I noticed that this little girl was standing off to the side by herself. She was looking around toward the floor with this creepy smile on her face. I went over and asked her what was wrong. She said, without looking at me, "They're speaking to me." When I asked her who was speaking to her, she looked up at me with her eyes, but her head was still down, and she had this creepy smile on her face and said, "The voices. They're telling me to do things." Needless to say, I freaked out a bit.
Oh my gosh, that's so scary.
Gosh.
All right, from Redditor T-Rex. We asked my 5-year-old cousin who she was talking to in the den. She said with excitement, "I was showing Pap my dolls." He had passed that morning, but we hadn't told her yet.
Oh.
Redditor Furbeschwab. These names are hard to pronounce. Furbeschwab. I was with an ex-girlfriend in my parents' living room a few years back when my little brother, approximately 10 years old at the time, walked into the room looking a little bit dazed and confused. He was sleepwalking a lot around this time. He went straight to the large front window and just stood and stared. I asked him, "Buddy, are you okay? What are you looking at?" And his reply was, "Them. They're watching. They'll be here soon."
Eek.
Oh, don't like that. I don't like that.
Oh my gosh.
Both of my boys have sleptwalked a little though, and like don't really remember that they're like walking around, but they're not like really hearing you or interacting with you. It's kind of odd and creepy, but it didn't feel paranormal to me ever. It just felt like a dream state.
Yeah. Evan used to sleepwalk a little bit, and one time Jason just found him standing in a corner. It was like in the middle of the night, like he was making some noise, then found him just standing in the corner by our front door. Just kind of funny.
Very funny. Okay.
I think it's you next, Nettie.
Okay, this is from Redditor SSS Morgan. I work in the ER. Once a little girl came in. Her mom found her in her room, scraping a pencil up and down her shin bone. When her mother asked what she was doing, she said, "I'm just doing my math homework." She would not look at her siblings and kept saying she didn't have any. She kept eerily staring at her parents, repeating, "You're not supposed to be here," in an all-knowing, matter-of-fact voice. They brought her to the ER, and they brought along a few sticky notes and a drawing that she'd done that night. They looked exactly like something from a horror movie. One said, "I know your sisters and I will defeat them without any fear." One said, "Prepare to square off on the trampoline. It begins at sunset." It was disturbing.
Meet me by the monkey bars.
I hate to laugh about it if the kids is like, in a mental health crisis, but
Oh dear,
Oh,
no.
boy.
But sometimes with little kids, you're like, are they, or are they just like what? You never know with little kids what's going on. Okay, this is from Redditor Olaf the Bent. And this is in quotes. "So I shouldn't throw him in the fire?" 3-year-old daughter holding her baby brother for the first time. Yeah, you shouldn't. All right. And this is from Redditor Undercover Chimp. My wife's niece had an imaginary friend when she was 2 or 3 years old. Not unusual on the surface, but her imaginary friend had the same name as her grandfather, who had passed 15 years prior, and she seemed to know stories from her dad and aunt's, my wife's, life when they were kids. The biggest thing was her friend had passed after being fired at, which was how her grandfather went. So I was talking to this little girl about her friend, and she said, "Yeah, so-and-so says he can come down from the clouds whenever he wants. He just has to sneak out." I've never thought of people having to sneak out of heaven.
Oh my gosh.
All right, last one on this page. This is from Redditor Nivuare. A little girl by herself at the pool started diving and swimming near our group. She looked over at us and said, "I live in your nightmares," then dove into the pool and we didn't see her again.
What?
I just wonder if she was dared, like by a big sister. "Hey, I dare you to go over by those people and just say, like, I live in your nightmares." I don't know. Where does
Or did she dive into the pool and then never came up? Was the girl a ghost? Because they never saw her again.
Oh, creepy. You're creepy. That's a creepy thing to think.
Hey,
All right,
you're
now
welcome.
the creepy sister's taken over.
Okay. From Redditor Floating Yogurt. We were having roast chicken for dinner. My 3-year-old son had a light bulb moment. He held up chicken skin. When we say chicken skin, is this really the skin of the chicken, like my skin? Next day, after some Sunday nappage, we played cars. I saw a fresh scar on his foot, straight line with a little dry blood. I asked the little sir about it. I cut myself. I took a knife because I wanted to see what my meat looks like under my skin, but it hurt a little, so I stopped. I still don't know. Good thing he didn't want to see his sister's flesh. Oh my gosh.
What a morbidly
Oh, man.
curious little boy.
And this is from boredpanda.com. 50 of the creepiest things kids have ever said. I was with my sister, her husband, and their 2-year-old daughter. We were talking about loved ones that had recently passed. My father had died sometime recently. My brother-in-law went and grabbed a picture of his mother who had died in a car crash when he was 6 to show me. When my niece saw the picture, though, she started laughing. We asked her what was so funny, and she looked at us and said, "That's my special friend who sings to me." I still shiver a bit just thinking about it. Oh, that's sweet. Another little clip, maybe is what we'll call it. Go back to sleep. There isn't anything under your bed. He's behind you now. Still haven't gotten over that one and shiver at the memory.
I think I've heard that one before. Mom, there's something under my bed. I don't see anything under your bed.
It's behind you now.
So scary.
That's freaky.
I was tucking in my 2-year-old. He said, "Goodbye, Dad." I said, "No, we say goodnight." He said, "I know, but this time it's goodbye." Had to check on him a few times to make sure he was still there. All right. "Why are you crying?" "Bad man." "What bad man?" "There," points behind me at a dark corner of the room. Lamp on the bookshelf next to said dark corner falls off as soon as I turn to look. She slept in our bed that night. Oh my goodness.
All right. Annie?
All right, continuing. My sister described her imaginary friend, saying, "He sits on my bed and waits for his mom. He's not allowed to go home by himself because of his arm." I asked what happened to his arm, and she said, "His mom ran him over when he was drawing with chalk. That's why he's always crying, because he doesn't like being dead."
Oh my
That's
gosh.
sad and scary.
That's sad and scary and creepy. I don't know. Those ones make me almost kind of think like, did somebody tell a kid, like, you can't just go on a driveway to play sidewalk chalk? Somebody could run you up. You know what I mean? Like, is it just those little,
Yeah.
like, cautionary moments that we're always telling kids when they're little to keep them safe, but then, like,
And then they piece together.
yeah, I think a lot of,
Like,
I don't know. That's kind of
Create a little story.
yeah.
be. All right. On my way home from work, my 3-year-old daughter in the back seat, we'd pass a very old cemetery every day. She used to tell me the people in there were waving to her. I would tell her there was nobody there, and I explained what a cemetery was. She was adamant she saw people in a school, in a store, and they'd wave to her. This went on for several months, and every day she'd tell me. I was telling this to a coworker who lived in the area and was a history buff. He then researched the cemetery and told me the area was actually the site of where soldiers fought in the war, and they were buried there. They also made a very tiny town for a small time, Samp Town, and there was a school and a little store, and some people lived there. If that wasn't enough to freak me out, one day driving past, my daughter told me a lady in there wanted her to come in.
Oh,
I found a different route home after that.
Oh my
that's
gosh.
so weird. I'm like, I want to go. I want to go in. Okay, let's go visit.
Yeah, you're always trying to get the paranormal stuff.
I do. I am.
Okay, my daughter was 3 and I was getting her ready for the day. She had been waking up with nightmares almost every night for a month or two. I asked what she wanted for breakfast, and she told me she wanted to share it with the dead baby in her closet.
Oh, no.
I thought she meant one of her dolls, but when I pulled them out, she said, "No, not a doll, the dead one that sleeps on the closet floor at night."
Oh, that's so
Oh my
sad.
gosh.
I know, it's pretty creepy. When I was about 3, we had a cat that had stillborn kittens.
Oh.
I asked my father if we could make crosses for them, which he did. As he was making the crosses, I asked, "Aren't those too small?" Dad said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Aren't we going to nail them to them?"
Oh, no.
Dad, after several moments of silence, "We are not going to do that." Me, "Oh." So that's a kid that was a little confused about
Wow.
a couple of things.
I mean, if you think about it, yeah, those church stories.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jesus was nailed to a cross. Oh, and can you imagine if he thought the kittens had to get nailed to a cross? If he thought maybe he had to be nailed to a cross one day?
Mhm.
Yikes.
Yeah. All right, Nettie, that's you.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, these are still from the Board Panda.
Mhm.
Okay. My 3-year-old son was softly singing while he was coloring. I stopped to listen, but I had never heard the song before. I asked where he learned it, and he said, "The lady in my bedroom sang it to me."
Ooh.
Okay, this one's not creepy, but sad. My best friend died, and I was trying to get back to my hometown for the funeral. I got overwhelmed with grief and laid my head down on my desk and started crying. My daughter came into the kitchen and asked me what was wrong. She was 8 at the time. I told her I was so sad because my friend died and I was missing her so much. My kiddo said, "Don't be so sad, Mommy. She's standing right next to you." I still get goosebumps just thinking about it. Oh, she came and visited her. All right. When I was about 4, my mom found me in the bathroom with all my Barbies, making them float face down in the bath. When she asked what I was doing, I replied, "The man in the wardrobe told me if I didn't do it, it would be my turn to swim face down." What? That's when you move.
Not cool.
That's when you move.
Isn't that freaky?
All right.
Creepy.
My 6-year-old came home from school one day, bursting through the door with tears streaming down her face. I miss my other family, she said. What other family? I asked, thinking she may have been talking about her grandparents or other friends or relatives. My alien robot family, she explained, continuing to explain that she lived with them in the sky before she came into my tummy. She chose to come down because she was angry with them and chose our family, but now she missed them and wanted to go back for a visit. What? I'd be like, what did I do to make you want to go back and live with alien robots? Okay. A huge thunderstorm one night, my son, about 4 at the time, put his hands on the sliding glass doors and says, "Oh God, don't take me. I'm too young to die." Looks back at my mom. "Take Grandma. She is old." Oh, oh boy. Okay. The other week, I was reading my 2-year-old daughter a bedtime story. When we finished, we were talking about being scared of ghosts, monsters, trolls, etc. And she turned to me and said, "Daddy, I'm not scared of ghosts." I asked, "Why's that?" To which she replied, "Because the one that comes into my room at night and strokes my hair is a nice one." All right, I'll read one more. And then Haley.
That is freaky.
Wait, it's Haley's turn.
Okay. We were on our way home to Alabama from Texas, and my son was in the back seat, and he said, "Mommy, who's the man in the back seat with me?" It was just us two, no one else with us that I could see. I asked him to describe him, and he said, "He's just black with red eyes. He's scaring me." So I pulled over and put his seat in the front with me. He said that the man looked like he wanted to eat me when I moved him. So there's that. Oh my gosh.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
That's freaky.
My son always says odd things. Usually they're funny, but this one threw me for a loop. He is 8. I was telling him how much I love him and thanks for being in my life. He said, "I didn't choose this life. I couldn't control how it began, but I can control how it ends." Oh my goodness.
Hey, buddy, I love you so much. I'm so glad you're in my life. Well, I didn't choose this. I couldn't control this.
But I'll control how it ends.
Oh boy, kids.
Enjoy it.
My 6-year-old nephew told my brother that everyone on Earth was a figment of Jonah's imagination and that when Jonah wakes up, we'll all disappear. When asked who Jonah is, he replied verbatim, "He's the one who sleeps, the dreamer in the dream." Made my skin crawl the first time he told me. Oh, the first time.
Okay. That's really scary. I hope that's not true. Sure. Are we starting a new cult where we all believe we're just part of Jonah's dream?
Jonah's dream. Should I do one more or is it Emily's turn?
Do the next two.
Okay, sure. Not a parent, but a former teacher. I taught English in a school in Spain, and I wasn't supposed to let the kids know that I speak Spanish so that they are forced to communicate in English. A 10-year-old girl comes up to me one day, grabs me by the hand, and says with the most horrifying straight face ever, "Te vas a la muerte," or "You're going to die." I was so shocked at the randomness of it that my jaw must have just dropped. She then laughed her head off and said, "Ha, you do speak Spanish." She then skipped away, laughing and smiling. Creepiest thing a kid has ever said to me, and probably the most clever thing a kid ever did while I was a teacher.
All right, one more.
My daughter's friend's dad, Ian, came in for a cup of tea one day when he came to pick his daughter up. My girl, Izzy, was playing with a toy sword. Ian said to her, "You know, Izzy, the pen is mightier than the sword." Izzy said, "I know, yeah, because you can stab someone in the neck with a pen."
That is so creepy.
Yikes. Okay.
Okay, this is from the Reddit thread Toddlers. Poppy and Merlin said, "Fully panicking right now. Toddler seeing ghosts. To preface, we live in a house that was built in 1710. Some of my more spiritually inclined friends feel we're not alone here, but have all independently said that our house feels warm and welcoming and it's a friendly presence. I don't know how I feel about ghosts. I think I don't believe in them, but I'll still get scared of ghost stories. Ha. I'm writing this in a panic as I'm home alone tonight. My husband will be home soon, thank God, And during our bedtime routine, I'm pretty sure my 2.5-year-old saw ghosts. Halfway through pooping on the potty, she nearly leapt off it into my arms with pure terror on her face at the shower curtain, saying, "Who's coming out of there?"
No.
I was like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "I'm scared of the people, OMG." I said, trying to stay calm, "What people?" And she said, "The bad guy." And then she wouldn't let me put her down for a while and wouldn't go out to the hallway saying, "I'm too scared of the people on the stairs.
Oh no.
Please send help or tell me this is normal age to start seeing these things." Update. Well, I survived the night. It's been funny to read all the varying tales of similar ghost sightings and the wide range of how to deal with them. Thanks everyone for making me laugh until my husband got home and I could relieve my dogs from forced safety cuddles in bed with me. I have to say, my first thought was, I hope that they tended to the hygiene portion of that experience.
Wiped the bum.
Yes, wiped the bum.
No, poor kid.
Okay, so some responses to that story. When we moved into our 1940s house, my then 2-year-old told me he saw Halloween people in his room, always in the same spot. We had some other freaky stuff happen around this time. Toys making noise when my husband was home alone. I told him that they couldn't hurt him and they were lost and he could always go ask them to leave by saying, "Go away." A week or so later, I heard him scream, "Go away," in the middle of the night and he never mentioned it again.
Oh, it worked. Great advice. I do think it is good advice, to tell kids that they have a little bit of a power and authority
Yeah.
over spirits. And there's a lot of mediums that say, if you're just really direct and communicate with spirits, even when they're really young, that it works.
Yeah. There are a couple more responses, Nettie, but I think you should take it away from there.
All right, this is Dizzy Kangaroo 7688. My house was built in 1890, and 3 owners prior to us, a man was found deceased in the corner of what is now our master bedroom. My 2.5-year-old talks about the man in mommy and daddy's room sometimes. I don't really believe in ghosts either, but will admit it's a little freaky. I mostly just don't want him going around to people saying that there's a guy in mommy and daddy's room. Okay, this Reddit user is I Piss Excellence. 32. My 3-year-old used to be afraid of something in his room. I told him to wait in the hallway, and I went into his room and closed the door. I then started to give the monster the biggest beating I ever gave anybody. I came out of the room and told him the monster left crying and that Dada is going to protect him, so he has no reason to be scared anymore. It worked. He's never been afraid ever again.
Except for of me, his father.
And
just kidding.
One of the comments that I didn't add to this was the name checks out because it's I Piss Excellence, which I thought was just pretty funny. Just go in and take care of that monster. All right.
Perfect.
My toddler sees ghosts too. Oh, and this is from a former Reddit user. My toddler sees ghosts too. My husband thinks I'm crazy, but I was putting her to bed and she pointed to a dark corner in her room. "Mommy, are those people real or fake?" I told her I didn't see any people. "Yeah, I knew they were fake. They whisper." Another time we were driving down the street and she started yelling, "Mommy, there's so many kids in there." I looked to see where she was pointing, and it was the funeral home in town. I told her that wasn't a school and there were no kids there. "No, Mommy, there's a lot of kids there. I see them." She also regularly tells the invisible kids who play in her room to be quiet. It's creepy, LOL.
Holy shit.
All right. I'll read one more, and then it will be Haley. Okay. This is Hellblogrow. The other day, my son saw something. We were sitting on the couch in the living room. From there, you can look into our bedroom. And suddenly, my son said, "There is someone walking in there," and pointed at the bedroom. And then he asked me to close the door because it was so scary. This really freaked me out. I'm not sure if I believe in ghosts or not. Well, I think you do now. We live in a pretty old house, so I guess people died in there, but maybe it's just imagination. And then this is a comment on the previous one. The way your daughter acted sounds very scary, though. Like she really saw something or someone. Would have scared me, too.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, that reminds me of when I was babysitting for one of Dad's former employees. And I was at their house alone with their son. And I had my back to the door. I was 14 at the time. And he was 7. And he just goes, "Somebody just walked by." And I was like, "What? Somebody just walked by your door?" He was like, "Yeah." And I just was like, were they going upstairs or downstairs? And he was like, they went downstairs. And I didn't hear anything. And I was like, do you want me to go check? And he was like, yeah, that would be great.
You sound so business like, yeah, that would be great.
And so
Report after.
report back. Give me a full written report.
He's your little like 4-year-old boss.
Oh, yep.
7-year-old.
7-year-old boss, but yeah. And so I go downstairs and I was terrified and I like checked out the house and there was like nothing was there. And I was like, Betty, I don't know what you saw, but like I don't think you saw anybody walk by. And he was like, no, I saw someone walk by. I'm 14.
Oh my gosh. I want to know where this house was. Do you remember where the house was?
It was like downtown LeGrand.
I'm so curious which house it
I
was.
could,
And
I could point it out.
if the like current owners have seen weird things.
Oh,
That's what
I
I
should
want to
go
know.
knock on their door.
Okay. All right. To be continued. We're going to find out more about this haunted house.
But anyways,
All right. We were at.
let's see. Repeated frog
Yes.
is where we're at.
Oh, is it my turn?
You.
Oh, I'm
me?
sorry, it's you, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. I got busy telling my story. Okay. This is from Reddit user Repeated Frog. I know I'm late to this, but I remember when I was 3, we moved into a barn house. Massive place. Loved it.
That was a ghost.
That was a ghost
Did you guys
burp.
hear that? I think a ghost just burped. Did you guys ever see that TikTok or like that? It was like a YouTube video of a little girl that farted and tried to blame it on a ghost.
No?
She was like sitting there talking, and then she like farts and her eyes get wide, and she goes, "Did you guys hear that? I think it was a ghost." She was like 7. It's so cute. It's so cute.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
Okay, go.
I know I'm late to this, but I remember when I was 3, we moved into a barn house. Massive place, loved it. I used to get scared of going up the stairs or into the hallway because I saw a woman, probably late 60s, always standing at the top of the stairs. She had a black trench coat on with a black briefcase and a short woman's black top hat. Ooh,
Is she the Hat Man?
sounds sharp.
Is she the Hat Man?
Dressed very nicely.
Oh, yeah, true.
The hat, woman.
I know. I was about to say this whole time. It was a woman.
Woman. I watched her go into the attic sometimes too. My mom used to get chills in that house all the time. Bats would always come in. Turns out my parents spoke with the previous owners, and the man that lived there was a widow. We found some of their belongings down in the basement, and to my surprise, when I was told some years back there was a black trench coat, black briefcase, etc. down there. Super creepy shit. I also was the first person to find out my nan died as I watched her walk into my bedroom when I was 7 and asked my mom why she was here. She frantically called my nan and got no answer, then a phone call from her brother about 10 minutes later saying that she had passed away. I don't know why children are more susceptible to seeing ghosts and stuff, but it's hella weird.
I just think they're a little more open-minded, honestly.
I have to wonder, like, what business was that woman in that she needed a black trench coat and a black briefcase? Was she like an international spy?
And a black hat.
A black short top hat? That is.
Assassin.
For sure.
She knows how to describe hats, this user.
I do.
Yeah, not me.
Yes, not us, apparently. Take note, Haley. Take note.
I just want to say, in our sisterhood, I famously am really bad at describing things and people.
Should we start a sisterhood of the traveling hat?
No.
Okay. We won't. We won't.
You pulled your 2 sisters, and we both said no.
I asked. I didn't say I was into it. I just thought you two might be because you're dorks.
Yeah. Total dorks. Oh my gosh. I don't know have we already talked about this on the podcast, the time that Nettie was looking at a picture that Haley was showing her of Haley doing something, and Nettie was like, "Where are you in this picture?" And Haley was like,
Yeah, I'm right there.
"I'm right there." And Nettie's like, "Yeah, but where were you?" And she's like, I'm right there.
I'm
That's
right.
me. And then he's like, I know, but where are you guys? Where are you? Where was the picture taken?
Like, what location? He was like, that's me. I'm like, right, but where?
I'm right there.
That's me.
And then I think finally you go, where was this photo taken? And I was like, oh.
You're doing great.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
All right, starting with
Affectionate tone. Okay. Affectionate tone 4570. As a child, I lived in a 1940s home, and when I was 3, I saw a man standing at the top of the stairs dressed as a cowboy, and he wouldn't let me come up. I vividly remember this. He would try to come in my room, and I would scream, "Get out!" I remember seeing the hat shadows on my wall. Hat man, hat shadows.
But a cowboy. But a cowboy.
But a cowboy.
hat.
My mom says I would yell it often and at night. They would find me hiding under the kitchen table from this man. My mom had many issues with a ghost man in that house too, and her boyfriends would be held down and run out of the house as soon as they were released. And she had some big, strong bodybuilder boyfriends. My brother also had a dream about the same looking guy I saw, and it was the most vivid dream and scary. Another note from this same poster. I also saw a lady who helped me when I was crying in my sleep at a different condo when I was 10. She calmly told me I was okay and she was here for me. She was dressed in a white gown, kind of like a maid. I fell back to sleep and then realized that wasn't normal, so I went to my mom, and my mom sits up and said, "Did you hear the lady too? From my room, I heard her talking to you." What?
Oh my gosh.
All right, same poster.
Wonder why the mom didn't run into the kids' room.
Right? Like you hear
If I heard-
someone,
yeah. Well,
you know, not all.
Sounds like they're handling it just fine.
Yeah.
sounds like it. Oh, what do I care? Oh, she sounds nice. I'm gonna go back to sleep.
Good night. Now we live in an apartment with my son who's almost 3. Last Halloween, we had some Dia de los Muertos decorations in our house and the fireplace. Wait, what?
In our house and
Probably around the fireplace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the mantle.
The
on the mantle.
Yeah, the decorations were just colorful skulls, super pretty. Ever since then, my son has been scared. They've been long gone, but he keeps saying there's a skeleton in the fireplace who's mean to him.
oh no.
He's apparently big, tall, white, and dead with bones, and he moves weirdly. My son says he tells him to go home and is confused if it's his own reflection or not. There's glass doors on my fireplace. My son is trying to be friendly, but he's confused if this man is a friend or not. He also sees it in his room window. We're here to support him and tell him we'll protect him always, but it's weird for sure. I'm sure it's just his imagination, though.
Well, that's interesting that both of the places that the sun sees it have glass and
Yeah.
could be a reflection.
Yeah.
Right.
The son must be a skeleton.
Is he?
Is he wearing a skeleton costume when it happens?
Is he? All right. Emmy.
Okay, user J Cortez 9050 says, our house was built in 1921. The man who built it was a World War I veteran, and he killed himself and his wife in the house in 1924.
Oh.
We've lived here for 7 years, and over the years, we've had things happen like keys move, lights flicker, TV volume adjust on its own. One night, the doorbell rang with a different chime than it's ever had. That was wild.
That is
Whoa.
nuts.
Last night / this morning at 3:15 a.m., my 2-year-old woke up bawling, saying that the man has his pacifiers. We always put 4+ pacifiers in his crib with him. When we went in there to check on him, there were no pacifiers in his crib or room whatsoever. My wife went downstairs to get another pacifier for him, and the pacifiers were in a pile on the fireplace mantle.
Oh my
Whoa.
gosh.
That's
Now.
freaky.
That might be a Frogger. I think it's time to check your attic.
Check your attic, check your crawl spaces.
Probably it's someone frogging going, this kid's too old for pacifiers. You know what? If these parents aren't going to take care of it, I am.
Like, I'm going to save them money on braces.
Okay, these stories are people seeing ghosts of children, not children seeing ghosts. So, this is from Ghost Stories on Reddit. Have y'all ever seen children's spirits? My mother and I keep seeing what we think is a boy. She even calls him Jacob. For a few years, I thought nothing of it, just a friendly ghost, until today while driving, there was a kid ghost in my back seat. It was a calm spirit, so I wasn't scared. What does it mean? Do any of you have similar experiences? I know we shouldn't have named him, but he really is no harm to us, and he's just a lost kid. IDK, why he never leaves.
I don't know. We shouldn't have named him.
If you feed a stray cat, if you're nice to a stray ghost.
Yes.
So Foxy Loxy 1704 said, we had a boy spirit in the house I grew up in. His name was Matthew. Somehow we all agreed before even talking about it that was his name. I think he somehow told us. He liked to hang out in my brother's room most of the time. He liked looking out the window in my sister's room, and I think he liked my desk in my room because of the lava lamp I kept on it. He was innocent. We would get glimpses of him sometimes, and sometimes our friends would see him through the window. I think he naturally moved on when us kids got older. There was a lot of history in the area, and we figured he was one of the people that sadly passed away during that time. If your child spirit hasn't done anything threatening or dangerous to you or your family members, I don't think there's anything to be worried about. As for the car thing, yeah, that's a bit unnerving, but maybe he likes you and wants to be close to you or is curious about where you go when you leave.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
Cute.
just a cute little silent passenger.
cute and creepy.
All you do is see it in the rearview mirror,
Yeah.
someone to chat with. You can be like, oh, good, you're here. I wanted to go over some things. I wanted to process some of my trauma.
Perfect.
Speaking of the name Matthew, have you guys seen that TikTok with the cute kid? The mom goes, hey, the kid is like 5 maybe. Goes, hey, can you tell everybody what you named your moth? Pet moth? And he starts laughing so hard and can't stop and finally gets out, Matthew.
Yes, I've seen that.
That
That's
is
so
really
cute. That is so cute. Okay, all right. This is going to be our final story of this rendition of our Creepy Kids episode, or our Creepy Kids, I don't know, series. We'll probably do a few of these because believe me, there's endless information. Kids are just creepy. So, this will be the last one. This is from Reddit Paranormal, and the user is R250. Here's the experience. My wife and I have twin boys, one of which is named after my late great uncle who never got to meet them. When they were 2, every night after bath, I'd lay them on their towels in their room to dry them off and put on diapers. Every night, the son named after my late uncle would stare up in the corner ceiling of his room and say, "Hi, baby." Laugh, wave, play peekaboo, and just interact with, well, nothing. This freaked me out more than it freaked my wife out, who passed it off as him being a weird little kid. Eventually, I started asking him about what he was seeing while he was doing it. He would say things like, "Baby sleeping," "Baby funny," "Baby eyes black," or sometimes "Baby sad," "Baby crying," etc. This did not help ease my mind. One day, I asked him what the baby's name was. He said, Rory. This stopped me dead in my tracks. A few months prior, we had tried to implant our last IVF embryo, but the pregnancy failed. We had already decided on a name for this little baby, and it was, you guessed it, Rory. We never once mentioned anything about the pregnancy, babies, or uttered the word Rory to the twins, nor to any family members they interact with. After this embryo, the doctors gave us about a 1% chance of ever getting pregnant naturally. Fast forward to a couple weeks later. My wife wasn't feeling too well and on a whim took a pregnancy test. She came out to tell me she took a test, and before she even said anything to me, my son walked over to her, kissed her belly, and said, "Baby mommy's belly." He didn't know anything about her taking a test or anything about pregnancies in general. That's how I found out she was pregnant. Once we found out we were pregnant, the baby sightings in his room stopped completely. Fast forward again a couple of weeks. My son had never seen a picture of my uncle, who he is named after. We were visiting my parents, and I decided to find a picture of this uncle, tell my son how he was named after him, and tell him about him a bit. Before I said anything, he points to the picture and says, "Oh, baby. Hi, baby," just like he did with the corner of the room. My consensus is that my uncle watches over my kids, was with the child that we lost, and that's who he was seeing in his room. With their mission complete and our family whole, they are now at peace and don't appear to him anymore. Now, this same son keeps telling me he sees a black owl at night. I don't have the nerve to ask him about that one. I'm hoping that just means he's been chosen for Hogwarts.
That's cute.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on this episode of The Spooky Darlings.
That's great. Good job, guys.
That's it for tonight's tales. Spooky season is only just beginning, and we've got plenty more chills in store. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, be sure to rate, review, and click that follow button. It helps other spooky souls find us. And if you want to carry a little bit of our eerie charm with you, check out our merch at thespookydarlings.printful.me. Also, find us on TikTok and Instagram at The Spooky Darlings Podcast. Until next time, keep the lights low, check under the bed, and stay spooky, darlings. 5 stars.
Before we disappear into the shadows, don't forget, we're still sending out vinyl stickers. Leave us a rating and review and email us proof to thespookydarlings@gmail.com, along with your mailing address, and we'll send you some spooky snail mail while supplies last. And if your heart is still mourning that tote bag, may we gently tempt your way toward our merch store at thespookydarlings.printful.me. Treat yourself. You deserve it. Thanks for listening. And as always, stay spooky.